Have you ever been labeled a certain character or labeled as something that you know deep down is not you, but then you find yourself over time playing out that script, acting out that script as though it were a tag, as though it were your identity, and then at some point you realize that you do not recognize the person you're staring at or that is staring back at you in the mirror. What that is mislabelling, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, welcome back to my channel. This is Conversations with Debbie. On this channel, we talk about God, life, motherhood, career, and everything in that mix. It has been a while. I've missed being here, but I'm so glad to be back. Life happens, but the most important thing is that we keep it moving as soon as we can. So, welcome back, guys, to my channel. So the thing about mislabeling is that it happens quite often, and it's very easy to, it's very easy to overlook. It's difficult to clock when someone is mislabeling you. A lot of things we do, a lot of things we become are not really who we are. A lot of times the problem is not what we say we are. A lot of times the problem is what people say we are. Now, not just people who we have placed on a pedestal, what they say we are, we tend to judge ourselves and form our identity around those things. There's this Igbo saying that says, Madu anahadika ono akorea. What that simply means literally is that a person is never to be as what he was, described negatively as. Somebody is not meant to act out the script that they have been mocked. If you have been mocked about something, you're not supposed to act out that script. You're supposed to, by all means, make sure that you act out the opposite of whatever you were insulted for. So, for example, if you have been insulted as a lazy person, you should make sure that you never turn out to be lazy. So this just summarizes what today's conversation will be about. So let's start from somewhere. Usually, mislabeling happens by people who do not like us. Mislabeling happens or usually done by people who on their own struggled with their own identity. A lot of times, mislabeling is a projection by people who are already struggling with their own identity. How does it happen? You find that you are called, for instance, incompetent, and over time, because of the way it was said, probably because of the seriousness with which it was said, you begin to internalize that voice. And over time, it becomes your identity. You begin to act incompetently. You begin to do things that you know that, hey, this is not me. I'm better than this on a normal day. But because you have internalized what was said about you, there you have it. People, that someone called you an angry lion when you know that you're not. People could call you difficult, rude, proud, a snob. Who does she think she is? When you know you are not. Mislabeling happens even by well-meaning people. But it's always something that you know deep down it's not you. And now the problem and the challenge with this is that you begin to act out and live a life that is not yours. And why does this happen? Is it because we are weak? No. I think it's because we want to be accepted deep down. Every one of us wants to live a life that is acceptable to certain people. Deep down, every one of us wants to please people who we have placed on a certain pedestal, right? And it's not inherently a bad thing. But when in the bid to be accepted, you begin to sabotage who you are, you begin to sabotage yourself, you begin to sabotage your potential, your identity, you know, then it becomes a very bad thing, just to put it very simply. It becomes very detrimental in the bid and in your intention to achieve purpose. There's this other thing where we want to in our bid to be self-aware, in our bid to be introspective, we take some of the things, some of the negative labels people place on us as awareness, as being accountable. But there is somewhere where you draw the line. And how do you draw that line? You draw that line by doing the actual work of sitting down to say, this thing somebody has labeled me, is this who I am? Or is this something I did? Because you are not what you did in a one-off scenario. You are who you are based on your patterns, based on your belief system, your values, and the behaviors that you repeat, the way you behave on a repeated basis. That is more of who you are, and it is from that place that you can now conduct an audit to say which characters, which behaviors have to go, and which one is okay, which ones were was I created with. Because there are some things people label about you as negative that are not negative, that are absolutely the way your creator has made you for a purpose. Your creator has created you with those character traits because he knows that the path he has put you on in life, in this journey on earth, requires those particular traits for you to be able to survive. Now, where you drop those traits because you're trying to fit in, because you're trying to be acceptable, you are already derailing. You're already going off the mark. Everything people tag negative is not necessarily negative. For instance, if you are assertive, it is not necessarily or inherently a negative attribute on its own, depending on how it's used, the context. If you're naturally a very confident, outspoken, bold person, if you're somebody who and usually people put a tag on you when they cannot control you. A lot of times this label is a form of is a way to is a way to control you, so that when they tag you that way, they can box you negative, they can box you, and put you in that negative box, and then toss you away emotionally. It's their way of having some form of control over the things you do, and usually because you are not a pushover, usually because you have boundaries, usually because you did not accept certain behaviors. You said no. You stood your ground, you spoke up for yourself, and they tag you to be something that you're not. I'm going to tell you today that you do not have to accept an identity that is not yours, because that is the fastest way to go into depression. That is the fastest way to lose your identity and to lose your purpose. That's the fastest way to become just another population, just another person, just another number on earth, right? So like I was saying earlier, the first step to recognize or to be sure that you are on the right path and not necessarily just accepting whatever labels are being thrown on you is to do the work of do the internal work. Sit down with yourself and reflect. Self reflect. Look at the scenario, look at your life in general, look at you and ask yourself, is this really me, or is this person projecting? And if it's something you need to work on, by all means, do that. But mind you, a lot of the times, it is actually a them issue. Somebody has tried to control you, tell you what to do, and you have put your foot down and said, no, I am an adult. You don't get to tell me how to live my life. I know what is best for me, and I'm going to go on my business and do that. And they tag you proud, difficult. It's such a scenario. What work do you want to do? The only work you have to do in such a scenario is to say it out, put it back, write it down, whatever, but reject it. This is not who I am, and I refuse to accept such a label. These words of affirmation, speaking things out, I used to think that they were not powerful, but I've realized that words are actually very, very powerful. So when someone has said something, you're difficult, you're rude, you're whatever, they've spoken a word over you. And that word is already in motion. You need to counter it with your own spoken words. Someone says you're difficult, I am not difficult, I just have boundaries. Where it is possible and very practicable, speak up for yourself immediately. Correct that person immediately. Do not give your mind the chance to ruminate those things and, you know, absorb those things and begin to act it out. Reject it immediately. Somebody said something, and I like to put it in context of this conversation. A lot of times, the things that the thing the way people treat us is dependent on the things we allowed the first time. So if somebody has called you something or treated you a particular way the first time, and you do not correct that notion, they run with that notion, and at a point you begin to run with that notion. So if this message resonated with you, I would like you to click on the like button, share, leave a comment, share this. If you're yet to subscribe. And until I come your way next time, speak up for yourself, stand up for yourself. Do not accept negative labels. You are not what anybody says you are. You are who your maker says you are, and you are who you accept you are. You are not what people say you are.